Good afternoon. Welcome to Lunch Break Live with Tea Party Patriots. I'm Jenny Beth Martin with Tea Party Patriots Action. In just a moment, we'll go to Bill Pasco for our Washington report. Before we do that, please let me give you just a quick update on the call to action that we're asking everyone to take during the month of August. Please make sure that you are going to your congressman's local district office. So you need to go to their website, look up your congressman or congresswoman's name on the website, go to the website and find their local office addresses. Then make a plan to go visit their office. And when you go to visit the office, you want to tell the staffer face to face that you want to see an impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden. Be respectful, be polite, be professional, and be clear that you want to see an impeachment inquiry into Joe Biden when they return from their August recess. Also, please make sure that you're making phone calls to the local district office saying the same thing. Ask your friends and your family and others to do this as well. It is very important that Republican members of Congress hear from us in the month of August and that they know we want to see an impeachment inquiry into the Biden crime family and into President Biden after they return from this August recess. Now we are going to go to Bill Pasco for our Washington report.
Thank you, Jenny Beth. The House and Senate have both taken off for their August recess and will not return until after Labor Day. The Senate will return September 5, while the House will not return until September 12. Let's talk about the federal deficit. On Tuesday of last week, the Congressional Budget Office issued a revised forecast projecting that the federal deficit for fiscal year 2023 would come in at $1.7 trillion, the third largest annual deficit in history. Just a few months ago, in May, CBO projected the annual deficit would come in $200 billion less at $1.5 trillion. And that was before the Supreme Court invalidated President Joe Biden's unconstitutional scheme to have federal taxpayers assume the student loan debt liabilities of tens of millions of debtors at a cost of $430 billion. That decision by the Supreme Court will save taxpayers hundreds of billions of dollars. Nevertheless, federal spending continues to surge. The single biggest aspect of the spending surge is the 34% jump, that's $146 billion more in additional costs that the government is spending on interest for the national debt. That's a result of increased interest costs that result from higher inflation. Now, the latest update on the Biden crime family saga. Last Wednesday, House Oversight and Accountability Committee Chairman James Comer of Kentucky released a 19-page memo detailing Biden family financial connections to Russian, Kazakh, and Ukrainian oligarchs. According to the data obtained by the committee, the Biden family received more than $20 million from foreign sources while Joe Biden was Vice President of the United States. In addition to payments from Russia, Kazakhstan, and Ukraine, the Bidens also received money from Romania and China. Included in those payments was a $3.5 million wire sent from Russian billionaire Yelena Baturina to a shell company called Rosemont Seneca Thornton that was controlled by Hunter Biden's business partner, Devon Archer. Roughly $1 million of that money was transferred to Archer, and the rest was used to fund a new account called Rosemont Seneca Bohai, which was then used by Archer and Hunter Biden to accept other foreign wires. Shortly after the Russian billionaire wired the money, she got to have dinner in Washington, D.C. with Vice President Joe Biden. That's just one example of many similar instances where a foreigner sent money to Hunter Biden and then was allowed to have dinner or meet with Vice President Biden. On Thursday, House Oversight and Accountability Chairman James Comer said that eventually his committee would subpoena the Biden family itself. Quote, "This is always going to end with the Bidens coming in front of the committee. We are going to subpoena the family," he said. Comer said the committee is in no rush to subpoena the Biden family. The committee wants first to speak with 3 or 4 other associates of Hunter Biden's, he said. On Friday, Attorney General Merrick Garland announced that he had decided to appoint a special counsel to take over the investigation, and that special counsel would be David Weiss, the U.S. attorney who's been in charge of the investigation for the last 4 years as the U.S. attorney for the District of Delaware. Almost simultaneously, federal prosecutors were filing paperwork with the district court in Delaware that was handling the Hunter Biden case, seeking to officially withdraw the plea agreement that had originally been offered to Hunter. The government, said the paperwork, had come to the conclusion that no deal could be reached between the prosecutors and Hunter Biden's legal team, so the only way to resolve the issue would be at trial. No indictments have yet been filed against Hunter, though I think it's a safe assumption that he faces serious charges, including felony charges for tax evasion. That's the only reason Weiss would have asked Garland to appoint him special counsel, because the status as special counsel gives Weiss the ability to charge a crime in any jurisdiction, and crimes are supposed to be charged in the jurisdiction in which they occurred. And Hunter's tax crimes, as explained by the 2 IRS whistleblowers, occurred in Los Angeles and in the District of Columbia. But, of course, saying that's the only reason Weiss would have asked for the appointment is a rather naive view, because it totally overlooks one of the other benefits to Team Biden of the appointment. That is, it now gives Weiss the perfect excuse not to cooperate with a House Oversight and Accountability Committee or a House Judiciary Committee that are intent on investigating Biden family corruption. Weiss's status as special counsel now means that he can take the investigation wherever he wants, or more importantly, he can avoid answering any questions from inquiring congressmen. He can simply say, "Sorry, our investigation is ongoing. It wouldn't be appropriate for me to endanger our investigation by answering." So, effectively, the appointment of David Weiss to serve as special counsel most likely does not bring the investigation closer to completion, and does not bring Hunter Biden and the rest of his family closer to justice. Instead, it serves to further politically insulate the Biden family, and most importantly of all, President Joe Biden, from the consequences of their criminal behavior. Some critics have focused on the regulations regarding the appointment of a special counsel to argue that Weiss's appointment is wrong. They are correct. The regulations regarding the appointment of a special counsel say specifically that, quote, "The special counsel shall be selected from outside the United States government," end quote. That's because the whole point of appointing a special counsel is to avoid a conflict of interest. And you don't really do that if the person you appoint is from inside the government. As a sitting United States attorney, Weiss would seem to be disqualified. But Weiss isn't the first U.S. attorney to be in the middle of an investigation when the Attorney General decided to appoint him as a special counsel. In fact, the previous Attorney General, Bill Barr, appointed a U.S. attorney in the middle of an investigation to serve as a special counsel, John Durham, who spent years investigating the origins of the FBI's Crossfire Hurricane Russia collusion investigation, and was tapped to serve as a special counsel so he could continue that investigation without having to worry about being fired by a new Attorney General. And Durham isn't the only other U.S. attorney to be appointed in spite of that regulation. Way back in 2003, the U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Illinois, Patrick Fitzgerald, was appointed special counsel to oversee the federal investigation into the disclosure of classified information that took place when CIA Clandestine Services Officer Valerie Plame's name was leaked to journalist Robert Novak. Now to the latest on the latest Trump indictments. Last Monday, in federal district court in Florida, Judge Eileen Cannon questioned special counsel Jack Smith about the constitutionality of his decision to indict former President Donald Trump in Florida based on the recommendations of a grand jury in the District of Columbia. In a brief order, the judge ordered Smith's team to address the legal propriety of using an out-of-district grand jury proceeding to continue to investigate and/or seek post-indictment hearings on matters pertinent to the instant indicted matter in this district, end quote. Smith has until August 22 to file his response. Then on Friday, federal district judge Tanya Chutkan ruled for Trump over special counsel Jack Smith in the matter of Smith's request to have Chutkan issue a protective order against Trump, requiring him to stay silent on much of the evidence in his trial. Quote, Mr. Trump, like any American, has a right to free speech, she said, but that right is not absolute. Smith had requested the protective order a week earlier after Trump had posted to his Truth Social account in all caps, "If you go after me, I'm coming after you." Trump's lawyers had explained that the message was meant in reference to special interest groups, not witnesses in Trump's cases. And now to this week's episode of The Jenny Beth Show. The latest episode of The Jenny Beth Show debuted last Wednesday, featuring Jenny Beth's interview of Dan Farley, the president of Tea Party AZ. Dan is also a Republican precinct committeeman in Arizona and the Arizona GOP Legislative District 4 chairman. Dan is particularly passionate about working to keep our republic, to keep Arizona free, and to grow the number of citizen activists who get off the couch and get involved to make a difference for their communities. It's a fascinating interview. I highly recommend it. And that's our Washington Report for this week.
Bill, thank you so much for that Washington Report. Remember, our August call to action is asking you to make phone calls to Congress, telling Congress that you want to have an impeachment inquiry when they come back from their August recess. So make sure you are making phone calls to Congress, telling your congressman or congresswoman that you want to see them hold an impeachment inquiry when they come back from Congress after this August recess. Also, make a plan to go to your congressman's local district office and tell them the same thing face to face to a staffer. When you go, make sure that you're polite, professional, and respectful, and also clear. So be polite, respectful, professional, and also clear. Make it very clear that you want Congress to hold an impeachment inquiry into Joe Biden when they return from the August recess. Now, it is Tea Party Patriots Action, and as you know, we always have a ton of calls to action. So if you want to take other actions during the month of August, go to our website at teapartypatriots.org. Again, that's teapartypatriots.org. And look at the other calls to action and be sure that you consider taking those actions as well. If you have any questions about the call to action for August, any of our other calls to action, or Bill's Washington Report, feel free to email me at jenny.beth, that's jenny.beth at teapartypatriots.org. We'll see you next week for Lunch Break Live with Tea Party Patriots.